Hey guys, I'm Justin with AmericanMuscle.com, and this is my detailed overview of the McLeod Street Extreme Clutch Kit, available for your 86 to mid-2001 GT and all 93 to 98 Cobras. All right guys, in this video, I'm gonna talk to you about what you can expect as far as power holding capabilities when using this clutch, how it's gonna get you there as far as materials and components, and then finally, a quick little walkthrough on the install. And obviously guys, the trans has to come down for this one, so I'm gonna immediately knock it up to a full 3 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter. Dropping the trans isn't the end of the world, but it does involve a fair amount of work, and we will have a little bit more of a general walkthrough later on. All right guys, you should be checking out the McLeod Street Extreme Clutch Kit here for your Fox Body SN95 or early Cobra if you plan on making around 700 horsepower and 700 pound-feet of torque at the crank, and you're looking for one of the best streetable clutches around for your T5 or T45 trans equipped with a 10 spline input shaft. This thing is SFI certified and is recommended for any street strip car out there equipped with a street tire or radial, in the words of McLeod. I'm sure a lot of you guys are probably pretty familiar with the name McLeod by now, and you should be because they've been around for over 40 years in the Mustang world, actually helped develop and design clutches for both Roush and Saleen, and even helped develop the flywheel used in the Cobra R and the 03 and 04 Terminator Cobra. Now they're still pumping out quality clutch components to this day for a wide variety of applications, and all of their stuff is extremely top notch. So the Street Extreme Clutch here from McLeod is their burliest single disc option available for the Mustang, with the Street Pro and the Super Street Pro leading up to this option here. Again, the Street Extreme, which is capable of holding right around 700 horsepower and 700 pound-feet of torque at the crank, depending on your application. Now, if you plan on making some more power than that, it's probably time to start looking into a twin disc option. If you did want to stick with McLeod, both their RST and RXT are extremely popular both here on the site and in the Mustang world, and both will handle a little bit more power than this clutch here. But since this video is about the Street Extreme Clutch here, let's talk a little bit more in depth about this particular clutch, how it's able to hold the amount of power it can, and basically how it's going to get you there. Now, you have two things working for you here, guys. Obviously the pressure plate, but first and foremost, let's break down this dual face ceramic clutch disc. Unlike McLeod's entry-level clutches such as the Street Pro or Super Street Pro, which do utilize a combination of organic materials and ceramic, the Street Extreme here is going to utilize a 100% ceramic material for the friction disc, and it's going to be one of the more aggressive materials used in clutch applications, and it's capable of holding a whole bunch of power. Now, when I say aggressive, I'm basically referring to the material again with the ceramic disc here. The engagement sometimes can be a little rougher than those organic compound discs because again, you're not getting any slip with the ceramic disc. It might take a little getting used to driving this thing on the street for the very first time, but once you get used to it, put some miles on the clutch, definitely be no big deal. In addition to that, sometimes guys can refer to as a ceramic discs being a little noisy, and what that means is you might hear a little chatter from time to time. Now I do say typically because this does not seem to be the case here with the McLeod Street Extreme. As a lot of our customers have pointed out, check out those customer reviews if you haven't done so already. They all report back a very quiet operation here with the Street Extreme and a very streetable clutch overall despite that very aggressive material. In addition to that, a lot of them have reported back with absolutely no slip whatsoever. But obviously guys, the clutch disc is only one part of the equation here. There also is the pressure plate to factor in, and the McLeod Street Extreme does include their high clamp load pressure plate, which will aid in the power holding capabilities, but I will defer back to the customer reviews again, because again, a lot of our guys have reported with a very enjoyable pedal feel. This thing is definitely not gonna be a leg killer by any stretch of the imagination. The problem that you're going to encounter sometimes is that with these heavy-duty single disc clutch options is that the pressure plate that they use sometimes can be a total leg killer, especially if you drive the car on the street a lot. You're going to have a very heavy pedal, and if you get stuck in traffic, well, we all know, we've been there before, and it's not fun. Again, that is not the case here with the McLeod Street Extreme. Even with their high pressure load or high clamp load pressure plate, this thing is going to provide a very streetable experience on the street, and it's going to give you a pedal feel that's only slightly firmer than stock. I do want to quickly point out, guys, that if you are shopping for clutches and you do have a little bit more money left over in the budget, check out an Aftermarket Flywheel at the same time. Trust me, I definitely recommend upgrading because you are going to be in there doing the work at the same time, and ultimately you might even get a little bit more performance out of your setup depending if you go with a steel option or maybe even a lightweight aluminum option, both from McLeod, and both you can find here on the site. And speaking of budget, guys, the McLeod stuff, despite being very high quality, really isn't going to impact your wallet too much here. You're looking at the mid to $300 price point for the Street Extreme Clutch Kit, which in my opinion is very reasonable and will fall right in line with some other comparable clutch options from other big name manufacturers such as Spec, Ram, or even Exity. Now before we get into the install, guys, I do want to quickly remind you, make sure you're ordering the right clutch for your application, because I'd hate to see you order the wrong clutch. Again, this particular clutch is only going to fit your 10-spline T5 or T45 trans, basically from all 1986 to mid-2001 GTs, and of course those early Cobras. If you do have a 2001 GT, just make sure you have the T45, because if you have a TR3650, the Tremec trans, you will need to order a different clutch entirely. As far as the install, guys, well, again, because the trans does need to get dropped for this one, because you do need to get that drive shaft out of the way, and the exhaust in some cases as well, I'm gonna knock this one up to a full 3 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty scale, maybe a half to a full day in the garage or shop to get everything knocked out. Now, if you've ever dropped the trans before, you know it's not the end of the world, but there is a good amount of work involved here, especially if you're doing this one on your back on jack stands. So if you feel like taking this one to your local shop to get installed, I wouldn't blame you. On the other hand, if you are a DIY type of dude and you like to do all of your installs yourself, well then you should know the deal by now if you dropped your trans before. Just make sure to have a good toolbox on hand, including the full gambit of sockets, some pry bars, a trans jack would be definitely helpful in this case here, guys. And of course, a lift will be your best friend. You can do this one on your back. I know I've done it before. However, I definitely don't recommend it. All right, guys, wrapping this one up here. I've used McLeod clutches in some of my personal cars before with great results, and I'd recommend them to anybody out there watching at home. If you're looking for an affordable single disc clutch that's gonna be very streetable yet still hold a bunch of power, the Street Extreme would definitely be a good option for you, and you can check yours out right here at AmericanMuscle.com.